We've all seen it. That moment when the underdog finally gets their win. Leicester City in 2016, maybe? The miracle on ice? You know, that one-in-a-million fairy tale that gives you goosebumps and makes you believe in a higher power. But what if I told you there was a year where this wasn't a fluke, where it wasn't a single, isolated event, but a global pandemic of chaos and upsets, where the entire football world seemed to glitch and reboot itself in the most unbelievable way possible? Yeah, you're thinking, okay, what's the catch? The year was 2004, and it was, without a doubt, the single most unhinged, wild, and utterly glorious year in football history. And it all started with a manager you might have heard of. Look, for anyone who grew up in the era of FIFA, you know the drill. You pick your favorite super club, Real Madrid, AC Milan, Manchester United, and you expect them to win. The Champions League in the early 2000s was basically a reunion tour for the same handful of mega teams. It was predictable. It was a closed club. But then came Jose Mourinho and his FC Porto team. They weren't supposed to be there. They were the plucky outsiders, the team that was just happy to be invited. And yet, they kept winning. And not just winning, they were beating giants. They took down Manchester United, Lyon, and Deportivo. It was an impossible run. And in the final, they didn't just win. They stomped all over Monaco in a dominant 3-0 performance. A team of unknowns, led by a cocky young manager, won the biggest club prize in the world. And you might think, okay, that's a good story. That's the one crazy thing that happened that year. But here's the cliffhanger. That was just the appetizer. Because what happened a few months later at Euro 2004 in Portugal was an absolute, full-blown, beautiful catastrophe. A team so unlikely to win that their win is still a punchline to this day. I'm talking about Greece. Now, let's be real. Greece's team had no business being at the tournament, let alone winning it. Their style of play was, let's just say, efficient. It was the beautiful game, but in a very boring, industrial, functional way. They played defense. They sat back. They frustrated teams. They were the footballing equivalent of that one friend who refuses to go to a party because there's nothing to do there. And yet, they made it. And in their very first game of the tournament, they faced the host nation, Portugal. Led by a young Cristiano Ronaldo and a team of golden generation superstars. It was supposed to be a warm-up game for Portugal, a formality. But Greece won. They shocked the entire world with a 2-1 victory. It was a one-off, right? A fluke. A lightning strike. They survived their group, but everyone figured their luck had run out. They faced the defending champions, France, in the quarterfinals. Zidane, Henry, Vieira, all the legends. What happened? Greece won 1-0. A total masterclass in defensive football. They didn't just beat France, they nullified them. It was a tactical masterclass that felt like a video game glitch. And in the semifinals, they beat the Czech Republic. And just when you thought the story couldn't get any crazier, they found themselves back in the final, facing the same team they beat in the opening match, Portugal. The ultimate revenge plot. The perfect ending to a fairy tale gone wrong. And what did Greece do? They won 1-0. Another defensive masterclass. They won the entire tournament with a defensive strategy and a single set-piece goal in the final. It was the least deserving team on paper, pulling off the most deserved victory of pure grit and chaos. Now, if you thought that was crazy, imagine this. At the same time, across the top leagues in Europe, the football gods had apparently decided to spice things up. In Spain, Valencia, led by the same man who would go on to win a Champions League with Liverpool a year later, didn't just win the league, they won the double, taking home La Liga and the UEFA Cup. This was a team that managed to outmaneuver Real Madrid's legendary Galacticos. And speaking of the Galacticos, they were famously beaten in the Copa del Rey final by a team that finished 12th in the league, Real Zaragoza. And it wasn't just Spain. In Germany, Werder Bremen, a team that had finished 6th the previous year, came out of nowhere to win the Bundesliga, dethroning Bayern Munich. They completed the league and cup double, adding another unbelievable upset to the list. The entire year was a pattern of giant slaying. It's like all the top teams forgot how to win, and every underdog decided to show up at the same time. But here's the most unbelievable, mind-bending fact about 2004. While all of this chaos was happening, in England, one team was doing something so brilliant, so utterly perfect, it almost seems like it belongs in a different dimension. Arsenal, led by Arsene Wenger, went the entire Premier League season without a single loss. That's right, 0 defeats. In a league famous for its intensity, they were unshakable. They were dubbed the Invincibles. And their perfect season stands in stark contrast to the absolute randomness and mayhem happening everywhere else in football. It's a paradox. The year of glorious upsets was also the year of perfect dominance. And the chaos worked both ways. The year 2004 also saw some legendary clubs fall from grace. In Italy, a team like Napoli, a historic club, was relegated to the third tier of Italian football. In Spain, Celta Vigo, a team that was in the Champions League the same year, was relegated from La Liga. It wasn't just about the rise of the unlikely heroes, but also the shocking fall of the established powers. The entire football pyramid felt like it was turned upside down. So what's the common thread here? Why did the usual rules of football seem to disappear in 2004? It was a perfect storm of factors. The rise of tactical coaching, the lack of dominant superstars, and maybe, just maybe, the football gods had a really good sense of humor that year. The year 2004 wasn't just a year of upsets. It was the year football reminded us that on any given day, a team of passionate, hard-working outsiders can completely upend the established order. It's the year that proved that talent is important, but a story of grit and impossible odds, is even more powerful. If you feel like you just got your mind blown, hit that like button. If you want to dive deeper into the beautiful, chaotic history of football, consider subscribing. It's free, and unlike a normal football season, the surprises never end.